Stephanie Reyes-Tuccio, thanks for coming in and sharing with us a little bit today about your own background and about the work you've been doing and the work we're hoping to do in the future together.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I think the best place to start is just a little bit about your own professional trajectory to getting to where you are today. And it was a little untraditional. You started in history, right?
For sure. Yes, I started, actually the first thing that really sparked my intellectual passion was ethnic studies. And so I went to get a grounding in history and sociology for that, thinking I would initially pursue a graduate degree there. And then fell in love with history, in particular racial, class, and ethnic history. And was really motivated by the desire to understand how conditions of inequality were created, and with a mind to how they could be deconstructed ultimately. So that was where I started, and then midway through my graduate degree program here at UCI, I was asked to work in local Santa Ana schools, developing workshops through a program that was called Humanities Out There. And we took graduate students with teams of undergraduate tutors into local schools to try to introduce them to the methods and materials of the university, establish some near-peer mentorship, and also just help them think broadly about college and higher education. And that veered me off into another path as I saw really the potential of what happens when you take the university into the community, what we have to offer, what they have to offer us, and how we're both really better for working together.
Yeah, and you ended up moving over to an organization that became the Center for Educational Partnerships. I'm not sure it was called that initially.
So I started moving from history to working on history professional development. So I was the founding director of the UCI History Project, which took veteran teachers and scholars to work together to improve history education in Orange County. And that was the starting point for me to start not only working in the schools, but understanding that although we're making a real impact with students who are undergraduates and graduates here at UCI, that we really have an obligation to work to make sure that more students have the opportunity to sit in those seats. So that was the starting point of working with the schools, and then broadening out from teachers to working with schools and working with students.
Tell me a little bit about the Center for Educational Partnership, how that organization got started here at UCI and really became a model for kind of how to do a lot of this work.
Yeah, the Center for Educational Partnerships at UCI is a jewel. So we began in response to the end of affirmative action in the University of California system. The Regents actually first prohibited that before the state of California did. And the Regents looked to the campuses and asked them to devise some alternative ways to make sure that we were preparing and ultimately admitting the most diverse group of Californians that we could, without any consideration of race, gender, ethnicity in our admissions process. So UCI became the first in the system to establish a center that would be dedicated to the quality of public education and to making sure that students, particularly from first generation, low income and underrepresented backgrounds, had an equal opportunity to be prepared and have access to our campus. Mm-hmm. And so
this was under Juan Lara at
this
the time?
was under first Vice Chancellor Manuel Gomez, and then the first director was Juan Lara, the Assistant Vice Chancellor Emeritus of Enrollment. So we started the center, and we were the first in the system to do that. We've since been emulated by every other UC campus that has something similar to us, although I think since we have the benefit of beginning earlier, and we also approach it in a slightly different way. We're probably the largest and most impactful in the system in this regard. So we certainly have the widest range of programs now in the portfolio. So we work directly with K-12 students. We have a set of programs that work to provide college-going knowledge, academic preparation, help build college-going culture in the schools and in the communities. We also have a set of programs that work directly with K-12 teachers, helping them not only with content knowledge and instructional strategies, but really pairing them with university faculty so that we have a professional learning community that spans from K-12 through higher education, working together to make sure that we're really preparing students. And then we have a set of programs that work with community college students, helping provide guided paths to transfer, bringing them onto the campus for residential programs, also introducing them to the research mission and opportunities here at an institution like UCI. And then finally, we have a smaller set of programs that work directly with undergraduate students here at UCI who are first generation and low income, to make sure that not only they have the best opportunities to take advantage of everything we have to offer here at the campus, but really be well prepared to move on then to graduate professional school or to careers. So that's, in a nutshell, what the center does, and we do that in partnership with schools and community organizations and corporate and industry partners.
Yeah, and give me a little bit more sense of the scale and scope of it in terms of kind of the personnel involved and the amount of schools or districts or students we're working with.
We work with anywhere between 12 and 15,000 students a year. We run 15 plus programs, both permanently funded and grant programs in a range of disciplines: history, English language arts, mathematics, and STEM programs. We work with over 400 teachers a year, also counselors and administrators, over 3,000 or 4,000 parents a year. So the impact is really broad throughout Orange County and South LA, extending all the way to Compton and South LA.
You said a little bit about our uniqueness in terms of kind of impact in terms of the community relative to the other centers in different UCs. Another part that makes us unique, of course, is that following the direction of the Chancellor and the Provost, the Center for Educational Partnership became integrated with the School of Education this past year. Can you speak a little bit about why the Chancellor and Provost thought it made sense for our units to be working together in this way?
I think this is a tremendous opportunity for the campus and for us, of course, personally, to get to work on this together. The Center for Educational Partnerships for over 25 years has been building deep, trusting relationships with schools and underserved communities in the region. We've been working directly with students. We have always connected to faculty and have used research-based approaches, but this is really an opportunity to bump up the impact and the effectiveness and the engagement of faculty in our work. So it's an opportunity to bring the research expertise of the School of Education to bear on the challenges that we've been working with the schools on in terms of providing students a clear pathway, so working at the policy and the institutional level, but also working directly with students to improve learning opportunities in the classroom and to increase their opportunities to access higher education.
And I know you and I share this belief that this kind of work shouldn't be at the margins, at the periphery of a public research university, but really at the core. Can you make that case for us?
Well, I think the Chancellor and the Provost have also done a really good job making that case the last 5 years. The work of community engagement and promoting educational equity and access, particularly for the students in our region, is really at the core of what a public institution is supposed to be doing. So it's our land-grant mission. We're here to serve the people of California.
So for the non-historians in the
Yes.
group, unpack that for us a little bit, the land grant. What does it mean to be a land grant, and how's that connected with this public mission?
So the mission of public institutions, especially in California, is we are created, paid for by the taxpayers to support the needs of the state of California. So not just all the students and all the people, but also to really lead the state to address pressing problems. So early on, they did that in agriculture, but there's also opportunities, of course, in medicine and for us in education to really make a difference in terms of what the educational opportunities and conditions of our schools and the future of our state. So we have an obligation to do that. And UCI has more than I think any other UC campus made good on that promise. We've been recognized several times in the last year by the New York Times and other organizations as the institution doing the most to promote the American dream, to help students move from lower socioeconomic status to higher, and also to provide access and graduate the largest number or percentage of low-income students. So we are really providing the best education to the broadest range of people, and that's really what we were supposed to be doing all along.
Right, and you can really think of it as a model for 21st century research universities to be engaged with the community doing work in this kind of way.
Yes, and not only providing access to undergrads, but working together, Center for Educational Partnerships and the School of Education, really providing access to all the students in the K-12 system.
So I want to shift a little bit to how we're serving the community, to opportunities that we provide for our own undergraduate students here in the School of Education, as well as potential PhD students that come in to the school. How can this partnership, this integration with the Center for Educational Partnership, how does that potentially open up possibilities for undergraduates to get more involved in the community, and for graduate students, doctoral students in the future, being involved in your work and in community-facing endeavors?
Well, I think we've just started to scratch the surface of what that can mean for undergraduate and graduate students in the School of Education. But what we've already seen so far is that for undergraduates, who are interested in either careers in teaching or in educational policy, this is an opportunity to really get their feet into the real world and understand the issues that schools and students and leaders are facing. We are on the front lines working with schools to address their most challenging current issues, and it's an opportunity for students not just to read about it and to study it, but also to engage in that world. For graduate students who are interested in issues of educational opportunity, educational access, or inequality, these are the places that we are trying to intervene right now, and that we're working in partnership with teachers, with principals, with superintendents to do that. So it's an opportunity to be in the schools as a partner and a player to help change those conditions, not just to research them.
Right, and I think about a model from other professional schools like medicine, where so much of the training is being in the hospital, working with patients, working with doctors. One could imagine a School of Education in the future, PhD students seeing their education in similar terms, that much of it is based in the field, in these practical experiences, not just in the classroom and in the labs in the School of Education.
Absolutely. I think it does several things. It not only makes the education that they're gaining in the classroom more meaningful and comprehensible, but also it really prepares them for what they're going to do next. Whether it is going on to graduate study, where they would be doing even more research and field work, or if it's going directly into a profession where they've already gotten their feet wet.
I imagine people potentially listening to this interview would share our commitments to things like inclusive excellence, diversity, equity, expanding opportunities for all students. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit, if people came into our program as PhD students, they'd have faculty in the school here that they could work with on those issues. they'd have opportunities with the Center for Educational Partnerships to work on those issues you've mentioned. But I also think about the campus as a whole. Could you speak a little bit about how that setting might be conducive to individuals with those interests in a way that it was for you?
UCI has been a phenomenal place for me, not just to study as a graduate student, but to grow as a professional, because there are units all over campus who are addressing some of these same issues, but getting at it from a different direction. So that's student affairs, that's the Division of Undergraduate Education, that's our Office of Inclusive Excellence. So there are multiple, there's the School of Social Sciences, there are multiple units across campus where there are faculty working on these issues and staff working on these issues at the undergraduate level. So there's just a rich environment with lots of conversation and collaboration across the campus working towards the same ends.
So now that we have this opportunity to work together in an integrated way, we've already begun to start thinking about kind of strategic initiatives that we can work on together. Could you speak a little bit about what some of those might be?
Well, those that are most exciting to me right now, first of all, is the Teachers Academy. So this is an opportunity for us to take the work that we've been doing in the Center for Educational Partnerships and in the School of Education with teacher professional development, as well as teacher education, and really put it together so that we create something special and unique in this county. And that's a professional learning community for teachers from the beginning of their lifestyle, or I'm sorry, their professional life cycle as they enter the field and are trained, to then being in the field, continuing to support them and continuing to support their learning onwards. So I think teachers initially enter the field because they are learners themselves and they have a love of learning, and that's something that I'm really excited to be able to continue to support and to provide them that professional home where they can be inspired, continue to learn and grow and improve their practice. So that's one thing I'm very excited about.
And it's really, we're very fortunate that the Schools First Credit Union provided funding to help stand that up and get that initiative off the ground.
And that's a perfect example of how we work with the community. It's not just the schools with UCI, but it's also broadening out to include our corporate, our industry partners, our community partners, because it really takes all of us together to do this work. So that's one. Another is the beginning of our longitudinal data system. So CFEP has been working for years with a range of some of the largest districts in Orange County to develop data sharing agreements and to have access to their student level data so that we can really work to have data-driven decisions, help with school leaders, sit down with them and really understand what are the barriers that students are facing and what we need to do both instructionally in the classroom as well as from an institutional policy level. And we see the opportunity to broaden and expand that and then to connect that with the research agenda of faculty and graduate students in the school. So it's an opportunity to do something that no other university has really done on this scale, and we're already well along the way to do that. And then another is our development of research practice partnerships. So this would take the work that Center for Educational Partnerships has been doing with schools to work with leaders to look systemically at the pathway for students and sitting down with those with faculty and with graduate students and school leaders to identify the challenges and the problems that are most relevant to them, and then working together with a continuous improvement lens to research and adjust and adapt and working together as a team. So this is the development of communities of practice that are working together to really change the conditions of education in our county.
Yeah, and I know that you were involved on that committee that hired a faculty to lead some of this work, June on. And they talk about building these network improvement communities. Can you just speak just a little bit more on that?
So that's a tremendous opportunity for us to bring Professor onto this campus. We see him working together with our school partners and leaders, with faculty, with staff in the center, to work with schools and communities. So this is that broader community focus of bringing institutions of higher education, K-12, community colleges, community partners, all of us working together to identify regional challenges and to implement strategies that move across our systems and really make the kind of change that's both systemic and long-lasting and sustained.
Why is it so important and critical to expand educational opportunities and access to to students throughout our community?
Well, as I was sharing earlier, it all has to be grounded in something that you are innately passionate about. And for me, I know that it's one person in a family who achieves a higher education changes the trajectory of everyone following them. And that was certainly the case for my family. And it's a bit of a pyramid. That one person achieves that, and everyone who follows has a better opportunity, not just to stop the cycle of poverty, but also just to improve security and quality of life and standard of living. And I am utterly convinced that the only way really to change the conditions of inequality that we have in this society is through higher access to education and an equal opportunity to learn, which unfortunately students still do not have in this country. So that's where we want to intervene, and I hope that we have more students to join us.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's really a pleasure, and I'm so excited to be working together with you on these challenges and opportunities we face together.
Thank you so much for having me today, Richard.